Okay, let's get into this one right here. LeBron James pushes or wants the NBA to go to 10-minute quarters like the Euro Leagues. And is it the Euro Leagues? I know it's like the FIBA. But he wants the NBA next year to go to 10-minute quarters. And I want to talk about that. And, you know, the LeBron James butt suckers on Facebook, they kind of like to twist history as they've been taught by Nick Wright, Shannon Sharp, these type of guys, right? They like to twist history. So they'll say stuff like this. They'll say that LeBron James won the Eastern Conference 8 times in a row. LeBron James won the Eastern Conference 8 times in a row. And that's kind of a, you know, it's kind of a half truth. We'll talk about that in a minute. And we'll talk about OKC in the Pacers in Game 7. Wow. I mean, this will be crazy, folks. We'll talk about the implications of this whole thing that a lot of people, they're not talking about yet, right? Maybe they're talking. I haven't heard nobody talk about this, you know, but we're going to talk about this. So LeBron James, let me just say this. This guy's career is over. That's the first, when you hear him say anything about ring culture, you know, it's a team sport, all the shenanigans that he talk about on his podcast, right? All this stuff. And now he wants 10-minute quarters. That's fine. Whatever the NBA wants, they'll put. But who the hell are you to want something? Your career is over. 10-minute quarters has nothing to do with you. You did your time and you lay down. You lay down or you got beat down in the 210s. It's over. It's over, dude. Don't worry about the future of the NBA. You didn't worry about the future of the NBA when you was destroying the future of the NBA in the 210s in much of the 2020s. You weren't worried about it then, but now you're worried about it now that you won't be in there. And, you know, I've heard a lot of people say, well, you know, they said on social media, he's saying this because he don't want nobody to reach his records. Ain't nobody gonna ever reach them records, man. Never. Nobody, there's not a guy who's gonna play long enough. Even if they keep it at 12-minute quarters, there's nobody gonna play long enough to break those kind of records. And basically, he didn't become like real brittle until, you know, the 2020s, right? That's when he started missing all these damn games. So he was pretty much, you know, you could say he was an Iron Man as far as he never had no major injuries. He didn't miss a lot of time in those years in the 2000s and the 210s. So he got a pretty good head start. As far as the 2020 guys, they're always hurt, broken up, and injured. So it's not likely that they're going to break any of his records. Now, I don't know. I think maybe Luka might challenge it, and Luka should feel offended when Luka hears stuff like this. But you know, then again, these European players like him and Joker really don't care. I don't think they care too much about this NBA and the shenanigans. You know, I think they care more about just, you know, they got money for their family and stuff like that. They don't, you know, they know they're not watching the NBA of old. They know that. They know this era is just full of shenanigans. It's one of the weakest eras, as they already told us. That their plumber league back in Europe is a tougher league than the NBA. So I'm not even sure why LeBron James is saying this. Now, as far as his 4-4-4, also, nobody in the 2020s is going to catch that. Now, what I can tell you is there is a guy who has a chance to break some of these records and overtake him for accolades. Well, I'm going to say 2. Okay? I'm going to say 2. To me, Joker, sorry about that. Joker's already 10 years in. And I think next year will be 11 if I'm mistaken. So Joker, yes, he's got 3 MVPs. But I just don't think he's going to get 3 more championships. I don't think so, folks. Unless he gets a great Hall of Fame teammate and they just start rolling him off. He can't keep playing with these same guys that he has. They're always broken up and injured. So, you know, Giannis ain't leaving Milwaukee. So Giannis ain't going to catch up to that. Giannis has 1 championship. And this ain't nothing against these guys, but maybe they might get like 1 more each. Okay? The only guys that I see really in sight of catching this is maybe because he just started out, maybe what's his guy's name? Well, the other guy is Shea. Now if Shea ends up winning this year, I think this will be his 7th year in the league. That's when Michael Jordan won his first one. And, you know, all these guys are young on his team. All these guys are young on his team. And truthfully, the West ain't getting no better. If Luka continues to play with LeBron James, you don't have to worry about that. Anthony Edwards, if you don't work on his overall game and he doesn't get help, you ain't got to worry about that one right there. You ain't got to worry about the Rockets with James Harden. Who else? That's about it in the West. I mean, you don't have to worry about Joker. Yeah, you don't have to worry about Joker at all if he don't get no help. I just don't see it. And they're talking about breaking up Boston. I'm like, damn, you're breaking him up already? You're talking about getting rid of Drew Holiday, working Jaylen Brown go. It's just crazy, man. It wouldn't surprise me if one of those guys ends up on the Lakers, like Jaylen Brown or Drew Holiday. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't. Nevertheless, so yeah, Victor Wembanyama. I can see Victor Wembanyama doing something like that, right? Because he's so young. If he's able to play with another great player. The problem with Victor Wembanyama is he seems too frail, man. I don't know if this guy is gonna make it. I don't think he needs to get like real muscle bound or nothing like that, but man, he needs to pack on some pounds. He can't be this skinny and that tall and expect to play that long in this era where you're just running and gunning and running and gunning and gunning and running. It's not gonna happen, folks. So that's who I thought could maybe do it, is Victor Wembanyama, but I don't know, man. I just don't think. I think he could do it based on he could put up the numbers, but his overall health on the court and staying healthy, I don't think he can do it for that long. I don't think let's just say if he's able to, this was his 2nd year, and I was kind of shocked they didn't let him play last year, and then this year we all know I know he faked that injury because he wasn't even gonna make the play in. It was gonna look bad, and so. I don't know. He could have got out to a good start, but, he still has a chance. It's only year 2. Let's say in the next 5 years, he can win 2 championships. That'll be him in the league for 7 years. That's good. That's a good start right there. And he won 2 finals MVPs. Maybe he won an MVP or 2, period. That would be a good start. We know he's going to do it defensively easily. So that's the only guy I was looking at besides maybe Shea could do it. If he started winning this year and won the championship, which I don't see why not, in this Game 7, I'll be shocked. If they lose Game 7, I'm done. I'm off the SGA bandwagon. And look, I was never a big SGA fan. I just saw he was having a good regular season. He was playing defense, which kind of shocked me. He didn't even make a defensive team. Okay. But, he was putting up good stats. He was playing an all-around game and stuff like that. That's why I kind of jumped on his bandwagon. And was supporting him. But, what he did in the finals, I don't know, man. You got to find some way. Yes, you can put up stats. That's fine. And I've been going at people for, trying to clap back at him and stuff like that. But I'm gonna give him the smoke, man. It's not just about the stats all the time. It's about rallying the troops and doing what you got to do as a historic team. And as a historic team, guess what? You're not supposed to be going to a Game 7 against the Indiana Pacers. I don't give a damn who they beat. Boston, Cavs. That's them. They weren't a historic team this year, okay? It's no excuse for this team to be going to a Game 7. It just ain't. With a number 4, okay, if they was playing Boston or Cleveland, I could see it. I could see them going to a Game 7, okay? You could tell me, okay, yeah, that's them. But a number 4 seed that was at the bottom of the damn basement at the All-Star break? No, man. No, and then they won again based on their competition was hurt? Come on, man. Come on. They beat Cleveland, competition was hurt. They beat Boston, the competition was hurt. I ain't gonna say every game, but still, again, their competition has been hurt for 2 years in a row. And so there's no way, you guys are all healthy, that y'all should be going to Game 7. To me, it should have been a 4-1. Y'all, they should have beat them 4-1. Like they beat Minnesota. If they was playing up to their potential. I'm not trying to say nothing bad about the Pacers. They're not gritty. You know what I'm saying? That they can't play. They ain't scrappy. They can't throw a whole bunch of bodies at you because they can do all this. That's fine. We done seen these type of teams say, oh, well, we done seen great teams play teams just like this. Really scrappy, really gritty. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, the skill level wasn't there. The skill level wasn't there. When we talk about the Bulls beating the Knicks every damn time in the playoffs, what happened? The Knicks were deep, they were gritty, they were scrappy. You know what I'm saying? They played defense. But at the end of the day, the skill level of the Bulls was too much. The skill level was too much, guy to guy. Michael Jordan had sharpshooters with Paxton and, Steve Kerr. He had guys he could roll, great skill guys in the paint. Horace Grant, Cartwright, Dennis Rodman. And what I'm talking about, they were like real sharp on their skills. You would see Anthony Mason, Charles Smith. These guys were blowing open layup, guys. Fumbling and bumbling the ball a lot of times. Missing free throws. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of times was the Knicks' demise, because they gave Jordan a lot of bad games. In the playoffs, or but his teammates were there. They weren't fumbling and bumbling a lot of times. A lot of times they were when it was Jordan carrying them, but it was vice versa. You know what I'm saying? It was a team. What I'm trying to say is that team was highly skilled. It wasn't like they was playing the Pistons and fumbling and bumbling anymore. It came to the point to where they were highly skilled at their position. They got rebounds when they were supposed to. They boxed out when they were supposed to in the 90s. They didn't miss free throws when they were supposed to hit them in the 90s. They wasn't blowing layups, wide open layups and stuff. This is highly skilled stuff, guys. The stuff that you're supposed to do versus stuff the opponent didn't do and lost. That's why the Knicks lost a lot of times to the Bulls. And when Jordan retired that year that they played each other, yes, they had like 4 All-Stars on the team. What was it, 3? I think it was 3. But when it came down to the playoffs, Michael Jordan wasn't there to hold their feet to the fire. So what I'm trying to say is, OKC, just their skill level should have already won this series 4-2, 4-1. Because the Indiana Pacers is just a scrappy, gritty team. They don't possess the positional skills, whatever skills you want to say. It's hard for me to say positional in this era, but their guys aren't skilled like OKC. They just ain't. I ain't trying to say they're bums. Yes, they're NBA players. I'm not better than them, but I'm just saying, as far as guy for guy, skill for skill, no, OKC is better. And all they had to do was play up to the potential of what they played in the regular season, in much of the playoffs, in this finals, and it would have been over. But we're going to talk about that in a minute. But nobody's going to pass LeBron's 4 championships, 4 Finals MVPs. Nobody's going to pass it in this era. I mean, if Joker gets 2 more MVPs, I won't be surprised. But I'm talking about the entire 4 and 4. Nobody's going to pass that. I don't see it. Like I said, I don't think even if Shea was to end up getting 3 more championships, I don't think he would get 3 more MVPs. I just don't. Not with Luka, not with SGA. Not with Victor Wembanyama. Joker might get one. I just don't see SGA getting there. I can see him getting 1 more. That's about it. Like I said, so even if he had 4 championships, he's not going to get four MVPs. LeBron James was basically being handed MVPs in Miami, which put him on top in a realm that he shouldn't be in. He barely has 4 championships, which means he barely has 4 Finals MVPs, and he should never have 4 MVPs, period. And we all know if he sacrificed and did it right, he might have had, who knows, he might have had 4 MVPs, but there's no way he would have had 4 championships. No way. He put all the competition on his team in the East. All the competition on his one team. So we know if he would have did it right, he would not have 4 championships. And maybe none. Maybe he would have stayed in the East and went to more finals. Maybe he would have went to the 8 finals. Let's say if he wasn't too sissy to play Kobe, he would have went there and got the hell beat out of him by Kobe twice, and then Duncan again, then this guy again. He would have just got the hell beat out of him in Cleveland if he would have stayed. Because we all know that it don't look like Dwayne Wade was doing too much by himself over there. It don't look like Chris Bosh was doing too much. Who else? Maybe Derrick Rose would have contended with him. I don't know. But he would have had some Hall of Famers. He had them when he was there the first time, and good players. So he would have kept going to the finals, but he would have kept getting spanked. But yeah, speaking of that, they had this thing posted on Facebook saying this guy won 8 straight conference finals, East finals. And I'm like, okay, it's kind of impressive, but what's more impressive? Winning the East in the playoffs or winning the East in the regular season? Well, to me, I think winning the East in the regular season, if you have a super team, because that's something you're supposed to do, right? You're supposed to be winning the East with that super team. So if you're not winning the East with your super team, what does that mean? Well, winning the East in the regular season with that super team, what does that mean? What does that even mean? So you weaken the East to its knees and you still can't beat the East in the regular season? Wow, what a shame. So he won the East one time in Miami and one time when he went back to Cleveland. In that 8-year span, he had a super team. But he won the East back-to-back without a super team when he was in Cleveland the first time. So what does that tell you? He didn't even care about greatness no more. He didn't even care about going out there and grinding out, try to win all these games and come out on top. I would just lollygag because we got the best team. Let them win that banner in the regular season. We're going to go to the finals anyways. Really? I mean, because with that team, both of them teams, really, when he was playing the East, the Cavs super team and the Heat super team, guess what? He was not only supposed to be winning the East in the regular season, he was supposed to be trying to set NBA records. And this is what I'm trying to tell you. This is what separates the greats from this fool. See, the greats wanted to outdo each other. If you didn't believe Michael Jordan wanted to win 6 MVPs, if you think he did it, you're a fool. Just like he has the most finals MVPs. He has the most this, the most that, the most this. Yes, he'll never catch a lot of Wilt records, but him and Wilt is just like engulfed in records side by side that nobody will never reach. But in order to, do these things, he had to eclipse certain guys. So he wanted to win the most 60 win, have the most 60 win seasons in NBA history. He wanted to have the most wins in the best regular season record. Why LeBron James don't want to do this stuff? How come he didn't want to have more scoring titles than Michael Jordan? Hell, just imagine all the free throws he missed in the lack of a mid-range game. He could have scored more points than Michael Jordan this weak soft era. Didn't do it. Nope, didn't do it. He don't want to break no real records. I mean, he ain't got no real records except for longevity. This should have been easy for him to win the East every single season with that super team. It should have been hanging banners wherever he went. In Miami, that would have been 8, and plus the 2 he had at home in Cleveland the first time, and then the one in LA. That would have been 11 regular season in 11 conference finals in the playoff. He would have had 11 of them. Well, that's if he would have had 11 if he would have won 09 in 2010, if he would have went to the finals and won 2 chicken to play Kobe. These are real records, guys. He should have been trying to, after 2014, trying to keep getting on defensive teams. And then he would have had more than Michael Jordan. Even if he would have had second, right? If he would have had a mix of first and second still after 2014, and he's playing all the way until now, I mean, he would have had the most ever. These are more impressive. No way Michael Jordan is going to be on the second team. Oh, well, he might be on the second, maybe. But he's not going to be on the third team. He ain't going to be on no damn third team. Nevertheless, that's a whole different discussion. But it's the way it is, man. So to me, it's yeah, you would think, yeah, okay, win the Eastern Conference finals in the playoffs, hell yeah, that's more impressive to anybody else because you're going to the finals. But when I look back at it now, you didn't win the East, but you didn't win the East in the regular season with a super team. Now, if you told me they have a super team, okay, I'm gonna dismiss that. No big deal. You're playing competition, but you had a super team and you couldn't do it. You couldn't win the regular season. Oh my goodness, this guy is a complete joke. A complete joke. The same guy that wants 10-minute quarters. And look, guys, before I get into this last one about the NBA Finals that nobody is talking about, I mean, it ain't like hard to think about. It ain't like I'm a scientist and I'm thinking about this because, anyways, I might take a break after the NBA Finals. It's just so much going on in this world, so much going on in my life, period. And it just, basketball is about to be over. And, what are we going to talk about? LeBron saying the same stupid stuff and repeating. We done heard this before. We heard that LeBron James won a 10-minute quarter. We heard that already. So basically, he just I don't know if he said this with JJ Redick. He says a lot of stuff with Steve Nash that he said with JJ Redick, but he's already said this. But now he's saying it on his podcast. So it's just like, what I'm trying to say is, I need to take a break. I know it's going to be a lot of stuff to talk about, and it's just going to be about LeBron James and him saying stupid stuff. And it's becoming like real, tattletale-ish running back. LeBron said this, LeBron said that, and it just become like a, soap opera. Grown men keep tattling on, it's one thing if we're talking about an ultimate winner. This guy's not an ultimate winner. Say if Michael Jordan was saying this stuff, or Larry Bird, or Magic Johnson, and they were just saying all this stupid stuff on our podcast that didn't make no sense. That would be like, okay, this should be covered. But this guy, wow, this is crazy. And then it's like everybody's going to basically give you the same perspective. They're basically going to give you the same perspective. Because they can't really talk out of, the script of what YouTube tells them they can't say this or they can't say that, or they're going to get demonetized or whatever. So then it becomes like real boring because everybody's saying the same stuff because they don't want to say really what they want to say because they're worried about, being demonetized or something like that. So, it's just, what can I say? Like I said, he's just going to say the same stuff. He continues to say the same stuff, and the whole offseason is going to be about him. I guess it's going to be about Kevin Durant. Maybe I'll just let some stuff go, and it's going to be a whole bunch of big stuff, and people's going to make videos, and I'll come back and talk about it. It's going to be like, let me hear their perspective. Even though you guys already know I don't talk nothing like them, and I'm giving a different perspective anyways. But it's just, to me, I think the other guys should be getting the shine. To me, it's embarrassing for the NBA. If SGA was saying stupid stuff and Joker was saying stupid stuff and Giannis was saying, they have the right. This is their era. You know what I'm saying? LeBron James has no right to this era anymore. It's done. He should be happy he's stealing $50 million a year to do nothing on the court and got his son in here who sucks. That's not enough for him. In that, he was able to get all these rings and these MVPs by doing it the wrong way. That's not enough for him, folks. Having $1 billion for being a loser, all that stuff is not enough for him. He just got to keep going. He just got to keep running his mouth. It's like, why? I mean, why you cheated? You've cheated the game. You cheated us. You cheated everything long enough. You got everything off of cheating and doing it wrong, not developing the overall game. You did all this by doing that, and you're still not happy. The NBA's not happy enough to shut this guy up. He ruined your league, and you just keep going. You just keep letting him. So let's talk about this. We're going to talk about this Game 7 right here and what these implications are. We know a little bit what they could be, but I want to talk about this right here. So if the Pacers were to win, which I just want to cringe every time I think, like, it would just be like, I don't know. I just don't even know. Not that I don't want to take nothing to get away from the Pacers or nothing like that. It's just, I just couldn't even imagine this. I'm trying to grasp the part that they went to a Game 7. Okay, But the Pacers had a chance to go up 3-1, all this stuff. It's just becoming too much. Not because OKC is my team and because of SGA. It's just because the shenanigans in the NBA, folks. I'm sick of seeing the shenanigans. The 1 versus 8, the 1 versus 6, now the 1 versus 4. All this, I'm sick of it. We were used to seeing the best teams play each other. 1 through 3 on both sides, the East and the West. The 1 through 3. That's what I was used to growing up and seeing these guys, the best. Okay, sometimes it'd be anomaly. Okay, say like when what's his name? When Hakeem Olajuwon won, what was he, like a 6th seed or something like that year? But give me a break, man. Clyde Drexler came over at the All-Star break, so he didn't play the whole. If he would have played the whole year, of course they would not have been a number 6. But again, you have 2 top 75 players on that team. That's different. We're not looking at this situation right here where you even have 1 top 75 or 1. I mean, Halliburton could be. I don't think he's going to be a future 100 player. I just don't see it. Okay, I could be wrong, and he could change that, but I don't see it. But no. Okay, so if Indiana were to pull this off, this will be the greatest run in sports history. And I'm not going to try to go through any of them, the other ones, right now, because it's not really worth it. I haven't really looked into them in detail. I know some, but I wouldn't want to leave some out, and you would have to do some comparison and stuff like that. Whatever, you would have to have everything to exact number. But I know some greatest runs of all time in a lot of sports. But at least the NBA, I would say this will be the greatest run of all time to me. And I would have to go back and maybe look at the Hakeem run, maybe. But just off the top of my head, the Pacers will be a 1 with the Cavaliers, who had I want to say they were supposed to have the greatest. Well, no, it was the best offensive rating this season, I think it was. Nevertheless, we'll get into that if it happens. They were number 1 seed, heavily favored. They beat them. They end up beating Boston. But didn't they beat Boston? Y'all want to say they did beat Boston, right? Or did Boston got beat by something? Hold on. They beat Boston. Boston was the number 2. No, was it New York who beat Boston? Man, this thing's been so long. Was it New York who beat Boston? Let me look at this. Sorry about that, guys. The playoffs have been that long. Yes, they beat Milwaukee in the first round. It wasn't Boston. So they beat Cleveland also, and they beat New York. So I don't know. I'm not really for sure what I would think about that. But let's just say they do. Let's just say they do win. So they beat Cleveland still, who is at number 1, and they beat New York, who is at number 3. And they will beat OKC, which OKC will be a number 1 and supposedly a all-time historic team. So, I mean, I guess that would be one of the greatest runs still. Even with that, we would have to really, still match those seedings up. And maybe we could look at the guys they beat too. You beat Giannis, you beat that joke of a player, Lame Time, 2 top 75 there. So you beat Cleveland. We all know that. I don't know what Darius Garland be. I'm not even sure what these guys did. It's so early in their careers. But we already know Donovan Mitchell is probably going to the Hall of Fame. SGA is going to the Hall of Fame and probably going to be a top 100 player when everything's said and done. The Knicks, I don't know, man. I think Brunson definitely can be a Hall of Famer. I think they're going to end up, this era is going to be so soft, they're going to let Karl Anthony Clowns, they're going to let him in, and he's going to be a Hall of Famer too. So it's some Hall of Famers and some top 75 guys that they would have on this list if they won. You can't really make no excuses about injuries because they won. You really can't do that. This is the era they want to play in, the excuse making era. So it could be some type of historic run. We can't doubt that. So I guess we'll have to go back and look at that. But to beat 2 number 1s, That's good. To beat two, and they beat the hell out of one of the other number ones, right? The Cleveland Cavaliers, and they beat the hell out of Milwaukee Bucks. To me, they had no business winning that series. I don't care how good Indiana is. Giannis has to rally the troops, and Lane Time has to play ball. That's it, folks. That's not asking for too much. It's not asking for too much for two top 75 guys on one team, right? It's not asking too much. I'm just saying. And maybe if Jalen Brunson has some damn help, who knows? So let me get off of here. We'll gauge that or whatever like that. But, I like making videos, but nobody is calling this out, man. To me, it's a disgrace. Yes, we're calling LeBron out for saying, keep his antics going. But the fact that we're not calling this out, that he's keeps saying the same thing over and over again. It ain't like he's saying new stuff. And we're like, having to shut that down. He's literally repeating the same stuff that he said on with JJ Redick. Now he's saying with Steve Nash. He's saying the same stuff. And everything else. So unless something comes up big, I'll probably see you guys Sunday. Before the game. And likely it will. I mean, it always does. But I'm just saying, after the game's over, I'll probably make a video after that, and then that'll be it for a while, man. That'll be it for a while. And, it would have to be something big for me to come out of woodworks and say something, because to me it's just gonna be the same shenanigans. Where Kevin Durant gonna go? Who they gonna get play with Anthony Edwards? All this stuff. So it's really not worth talking about until all the dust settles, because the NBA is more interested in keeping our league alive with shenanigans than it is actual on-court play. The shenanigans that happen off the court in the off-season don't match up to the on-court play. It don't match up. And another thing is, too, I was wondering how the ESPN was going to be able to pay Kenny Shack and Charles Barkley, because I seen this thing today. And, they're dissing their own. This is crazy. They're dissing themselves. So Fox was talking about, basically ESPN taking heat from people on social media about the coverage of the NBA Finals. And I've been killing them for it. Doris Burke, Richard Jefferson, this clown show panel on the pregame and the halftime show, whatever. So now they hear this, and of course, they got to start clowning themselves. And it was on Fox, one of those radio shows or whatever like that. So, but what they're not going to tell you is they want to just tell you about the personalities. They don't match the personalities and the people they used to have. What they're not trying to tell you, folks, this is welfare. They got rid of, remember, in a 3-month span, they got rid of all these different people at ESPN, just not for the NBA, but different people. For the NFL shows, for the NBA, everything. The Mark Jacksons and Jalen Rose, all these people, they got cut a whole bunch of people. If y'all don't remember, it's because they couldn't afford them. They were making pay cuts means they can't afford. So before we know it, we're looking at a woman hosting the NFL morning show, replacing Chris Berman. Out of all people, like what? Chris, the greatest legend to host an NFL show on Sunday, this chick? Anyways, so this is what they got. The only reason why they got Richard Jefferson, they got Big Dummy Perk, and they got Doris Burke and all these, they can't afford good analysts. They're not going to tell you that. They can diss themselves all they want on talk shows. They're paying welfare. They told Chris Broussard, you got to be on ESPN or Fox. We can't afford you on both. Or no, you can only be on one platform. So he left the odd couple, and he stays on the other one with Nick Rome. They can't afford to pay nobody. And I know it sounds crazy, like, oh no, ESPN has all it. Yes, they have money. Just because people have money, that don't mean they want to spend it. They have a budget. There's people in different layers, executives, this guy, that guy, who's making money too. Nobody's watching ESPN like that no more. That's why they got rid of the Skip and, Undisputed. Even though they fake lied and said these guys were beefing, they ain't had nothing to do with that. It was the ratings. They couldn't afford them. First Take wasn't doing too good. So they thought they'd bring over Shannon Sharp and, he'd boost some ratings, get rid of, Max. They was trying to save the morning show with Jay Will and Keyshawn, but they couldn't. I thought Max was a good fit for a narrator because the other guy, he couldn't narrate the damn show. Was it Middle Eastern dude or Indian, whatever he was. but it was already too late. Max couldn't save the show. That's why Jay Will is anywhere on ESPN, because he's welfare, folks. When I say welfare, they're getting paid low budget money compared to if you go get great, all-time great analysts who have real cachet, who have big names in the game, who are big-time stars. So anyways, I was like, well, how are they going to afford Kenny, Chuck, and Charles? So when I looked into it, it said that it was TNT. TNT is still TNT Sports or something like that is still covering them, even though they're going to work for ESPN. So I guess what they're going to do is they're going to split the money based on ratings, based on advertisement, because the ESPN is going to be licensed over the whole thing, but it's going to be TNT production. So, you know, they're going to be able to split the money, and I guess TNT is going to pay them. Probably TNT is probably going to get paid more because they got the production. ESPN has a license, whatever. So I don't know if that clears it up for you. ESPN is a welfare network. That's all it is, bringing WNBA players in to broadcast NBA games and to sit on panels at NBA. They're welfare workers. That's all ESPN is anymore. A bunch of welfare workers. They might keep a couple good guys like Stephen A. Smith. He ain't good to me, but I'm just saying with some kind of substance, move you a little bit, or somebody they can pay. But, you know, social media has messed up ESPN. Money. They're not credible people no more. They're liars. They just do a whole bunch of stuff. You can't talk bad about them enough, and you would never think this. But the Rainbow Crew done took over ESPN a long time ago, and they don't care about it. They're going to continue to show their hand that they're a Rainbow Crew. So anyway, maybe we can talk about that in another video. But, you know, I don't respect ESPN just because the fact that they would let, you know, people come on their talk shows and, you know, these debate groups and whatever. Colin Cowherd and Nick Rice, they're all the same, ESPN, Fox, and just let these people lie. Just lie. You know, and it won't be soon in the future. Give it about 10 years. If Mahomes win a couple of championships, they'll start lying about Brady. Remember, before Mahomes got his doors blown off, this past Super Bowl, they were saying all this crazy nonsense about how Mahomes is better. And he went to this, he's been this young and did that. Like, give us a break. And then he gets his doors blown off. You can't trust me. All this bet stuff and all this ESPN trying to sway you this way to bet on this. And, you know, no, I wouldn't believe anything ESPN is saying. Because what they're trying to get you to bet on, they're going to go totally opposite way. And I ain't going to say how and why. It's just they are. If you have enough smarts to even, you know, comprehend what I'm saying, you don't want to listen to anything these people say about betting. Nothing. If you think they're just up there, they're just rolling the dice like us, but, you know, because they're a sports network, they have more, you know, they have more credibility with these people to say this and that. Okay. You think they're going to bet the way, you know, you're betting just because they tell you to bet that way? You must be a damn fool.